Welcome to Apex Magazine. Strange, surreal, shocking, beautiful. Welcome back, everyone. It's a lovely day to have you tuning into this brand new episode of the podcast. I am so excited to bring you this month's story by the very talented K.S. Walker and read by the wonderful Tonia Ransom. But before we can dive on into this story, we have two announcements. Please check out our new anthology Kickstarter project coming this February, Robotic Ambitions, edited by Jason Sizemore and Leslie Connor. Whether striving to protect the family they've chosen, searching for meaning amid the chaos of the world, or questioning what it is that makes one alive, robotic ambition can mean many different things. From robots to AI to sentient mechanical devices, this anthology will explore what it means to be sentient and mechanical. Join Jason Sizemore and Leslie Connor as they peel back the metal and find out what lies at the center of robotic ambitions. Additionally, Apex Magazine is excited to present Snap Judgment, Episode 6, the Slush Reader episode of our rapid-fire live streaming critique series. Every quarter, industry professionals Jason Sizemore, Leslie Connor, and a special guest offer live feedback on the first page, up to 250 words, of genre short stories or novels. These first pages are read aloud by our talented host and narrator, Allie Grauer. We are pleased to announce that our special guest editor for this event is author and Apex Magazine slush reader, Kai Delmas. Snap Judgment number 6 will be live streamed on Friday, March 3rd at 1 p.m. EST, 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. UTC. For more information, visit www.apex-magazine.com. If you're enjoying what we have to offer on this podcast, we cordially invite you to become an Apex Magazine Patreon supporter. For as little as $2 a month, you'll gain early access to our monthly microfiction themes and an archive of past author interviews and other insights. Visit patreon.com/Apex Book Company for more information. And now, let us finally turn our attention to this month's story. Apex Magazine proudly presents Episode 98, River Bargain Baby by K.S. Walker.
There's reasons not to go sit by the banks of the Dequindre. The mosquitoes bite something fierce this time of year, for one. May through September, the air is thick with them. The river swells wide on its way through Wyandotte. When the rain comes, the Dequindre spills over its banks in a lazy way, slowing almost to a standstill. Stagnant waters are fertile breeding ground for some. And that was another reason, most of the time, it was more marsh than bank anyway. And even when the wetlands firmed up, it wasn't good fishing. And then, there were the stories. Plenty reasons not to go. But not enough to make Jackie stay away. There's a saying for girls like her. Like mother, like daughter, I guess. I don't mind making my own trouble. Spice things up, keep the people folk on their toes. It's always a nice surprise, though, when trouble seeks me out instead. And I know trouble when it comes sniffing. Trouble sound like 4 pairs of shoes scuffing up a dirt path. It sound like, I bet you won't. By the time all y'all came round the front of Miss Loretta's house, hushed voices like she ain't already heard you a quarter mile back, I was near giddy. Kid folk, too. My laughter sent bubbles up through the marsh grasses. Lord, I can't help myself sometimes. Me and Miss Loretta, me and her come to an understanding a long time ago. I let her alone in her little house near my banks, closer than any other people folks stay. And in turn, she let me peep through her eyes sometimes. I has her lean closer out of her rocker so I can get a good look at you. Y'all not messing around by the river, are you? Miss Loretta hollers out. Hush now, woman, don't be a spoil sport. No, ma'am. Ha! Lies if I ever heard one. Don't bother me none. I take my time studying each one of y'all. See which one is about to make my day. I recognize the look. Little girl with 2 plaits and a chin that says she got something to prove. Girl, you ain't got nothing to prove to them boys you running around with. But you come on see me anyway. See what we can make of you. Good. The children that go down that river don't come back. Woman, I said, hush. I yanked Miss Loretta back down in her rocker, hard. Why go ruining a fun thing before I even get a chance to get started? Goodbye now, I chirped through Miss Loretta. Y'all scoot along a little faster. Don't worry, I'll keep Miss Loretta busy long enough for y'alls to come see me. She won't be calling any mamas anytime soon. Tattling. Let's see what good old DeQuinder can do for you. All the best stories start with desperation, a want so large it twists like hunger pains, tying your stomach up in knots. Jackie knows a thing or two about that. A want so great she'd do anything to ease the fire of it. Maybe even wade into the DeQuinder up to her knees because Marquise dared her to. Even though the fishing is bad, the mosquitoes thick, and they all know the stories. Desire and desperation can do that. Child, you shouldn't have come here. I'm greedy and proud of it. I've been known to reach out a mighty hand and snatch a body just 'cause I can. But let me tell you something. There's something down here with me that got more greed than I do. She been kicking up my sandy soil, troubling the surface water something fierce with her want, her need. I'd tell you not to come too close, but, well, things might be more interesting if you do. There's a moment at the end of the dirt path when Jackie hesitates. She can feel Grant, Marquise, and Jameer at her back, watching. The insects have stopped their buzzing, not a peeper peeping, like the whole river source to mouth, producer to predator, holding its breath, watching what she's about to do next. The thing about Jackie is there hasn't been a dare yet she's backed down from, and she surely isn't about to start now, not when she's got something to prove. If this is the price of acceptance, she'll pay it and say it came cheap. She hasn't learned yet that acceptance isn't the same as friendship, that you can be a part and still a part. That'll come. Her fists clench, and she takes 2 long steps in. Did you know I knew your mama? Yes, child, and if you ain't the spitting image of her. Must have been about what, 13 years now? 13 years and 9 months if we being exact. I seen your mama inch as close as she dare, asking me for a miracle. Her hands clasped tight to her bosom, tears streaking her brown face. She sure wanted a baby, but never could find a use for a man. So, she came to me. She pleaded, tore at her hair, ripped at her skirts, made all sort of fuss. I'll do anything. Anything? Lord, child, she should have known better. She was in the marsh up to her ankles already, but I bade her come closer still. Anything, she say? She stepped down into me proper, black muck sucking at her skirts till my waters could kiss her skin, till the long grass could wrap around her thighs gentle-like, a lover's touch. Your mama asked me for a baby. I gave her 2. Before she fell asleep that night, I sent Ma Skeeter to give her a message. Your mama's eyes were heavy like pockets full of stones, and Ma Skeeter landed on her right cheek and whispered in her ear for me. One of them babies is for me, and only one is for you. That's right, honey. Take one more step in. The people folk only come see me when they want something. When they want to keep a lover in their bed, steal one from someone else's. When they want revenge or riches. When they want something they just can't get otherwise. But ain't none of that what's on your heart, is it? Your mind focused on trying to get them little ashy-knee boys to let you be a part of their group. That's just somebody's son. You up to your knees in the divine, honey, and you ain't even think to ask for nothing? Nothing? Well, maybe, just maybe, I got a gift for you anyway. Shallow waters run warm, but a chill rakes down the back of Jackie's calves anyway. Marquise shouts, "Time!" from the banks, and she can't get out of the water fast enough. She did it. She lifts her foot to run, only to catch it and fall face first into the water. A cloud of mosquitoes puff into the air, angry and seeking. Jackie is shocked to find herself in the river up to her shoulders, to feel the surface she disturbed lapping gently at her neck. She scrambles up as fast as she can. She pulls her foot free. Whatever resistance she'd encountered is gone. Jackie hightails it out the water, onto firm land. She whoops and hollers along with Marquise, Grant, and Jameer all the way home. But she never stops glancing over her shoulder, like there's something behind her, just out of sight. She dismisses the feeling with a shrug. It's like the saying, right? Out of sight, out of mind. I give credit where credit is due, and your mama, well, she understood the assignment. Y'all were born under a full moon. You know that? I could hear all the hollering and carrying on. She birthed y'all by herself on the laminated kitchen floor. Cut through the umbilical cord with a dull butcher's knife. Soon as she could stand again, she wrapped both y'all up in paisley-printed towels and brought y'all to meet me. I don't know how she decided, but she slipped one baby into the tall grass. No basket made of reeds. She put the other baby to her breast, and I ain't seen her since. But I see you now. I think parenting looked good on me. I make sure my river daughter stay clothed, robed in algae blooms, crowned in cattails, fed on rainbow trout and misplaced dreams, safe. I make sure she's learned. A river with a memory long as mine. My baby knows history all right, including her own. That's right, she see you too, honey. Pardon, the heron don't like my laughter. It startles him, so he take off in a hurry. He might just have to get used to it. I've just been so tickled lately. That's the other saying. What the river takes, the river keeps. What the Dequinder gives back is a curse indeed. This river daughter been patient, but she ain't got an ounce of kindness in her. Now usually what's mine is mine, honey, but I've been feeling gracious, and I've been thinking to myself, Lord, won't it be entertaining to see what happens if I let her go? My Skeeter told me you ain't been sleeping good. You spend all night tossing, turning, babbling like waves breaking against the shore. Now I wonder why that could be. The Dequinder's not the only one shrouded in stories thick like a heavy evening fog. No. Jackie's been listening to conversations not meant for children's ears, and what she heard is that Miss Loretta that stay in that shack down there on the edge of the Dequinder, well, there's always been something not quite right about her. Or maybe she heard that Miss Loretta knows some things that good Christian folk shouldn't know a thing about. Or that she keeps company with some unsavory types. What she might have heard was the word witch. Power. Hushed tones speak louder than the words themselves. Who better to turn to when Jackie finally admits to herself that since she stepped in the Dequinder, she's been seeing things that can't be and hearing things that shouldn't speak. And she's having a harder and harder time telling the difference between waking hours and dreams. Child, you look like something troubling you. That might be my fault, though. But you go on down to Miss Loretta's anyway. Tell her your problems. Your shadow don't keep up with you no more, you say? Well, I'll be. And you think you hearing someone practice your voice? What you mean, baby? Whispers sound like you, but not you. Sound like you, but far away. No? Oh, sound like you, but with lungs pushing around water instead of air? I'll be. I keep Miss Loretta's head bobbing, her eyes wide with understanding. 'Cause I get it. But you know what else? I never did believe in lying to kidfolk. Miss Loretta knows the words, says them without me prompting. Go make a deal with the Dequinder then. But child, you must have not liked that answer. The look on your face. There's another saying for what Jackie's going through as she stumbles off of Miss Loretta's porch, arms pinwheeling, hands scrabbling for purchase in the dusty yard. Nobody feels the outrage of injustice like a child does. She completed the dare. She proved her point. And she brought back from the river a black-eyed girl that wants to take her place. She'd been told life ain't fair more times than she could count. But she never had reason to take the words to heart. Until now. I was disappointed, you know. Child, you run away from Miss Loretta like she the problem. But she not. Girl, you know better. Your problems stand about your height, your weight, 120 pounds, soaking river water wet on the bathroom mat. Your problems show up in your dreams and open her mouth and outflow silt and seaweed. Your problem is a river sister that's been down here so long she remembering things she ain't never had no business knowing. That night, Jackie wakes up in a cold sweat, choking on hollow rush stems and pond weeds to the weight of someone sitting at the foot of her bed. She turns on the lights to find herself in a room, alone, with a damp spot on the blankets, down past her feet. I was wondering when you was gonna come deal with me directly. Come on down here, child. The water is fine. I hear you got yourself a problem. Well, good old DeQuinder can work miracles, don't you know? Don't you worry yourself none about the stories you may or may not have heard. I can fix anything, if you make it worth my while. A spirit, you say? Wanting to take your place? Well, that is a problem. What you willing to pay? Anything? Lord, like mother, like daughter. Why don't you come on in a little deeper? Now, what if I told you that I already made a bargain with your mama? That I'm a lot of things, but a liar ain't one of them. I already gave her a baby, you see. I believe one for me and only one for you was the words exactly. Now, you see, it's only fair, right? River Daughter'll mind her business mostly. Besides, you don't want to see what's on the other side? Ha! Trouble? Well, that's true too. Still, there's a lot you could learn from a river like me. Power? Gal, now you talking that talk. That's 2 asks now, mind. I'm keeping count. Oh, I know a thing or two about power. Yes, wait a little closer, child. These waters is trouble. Trouble and power. Power and trouble indeed.
K.S. Walker writes speculative fiction. You can often find them spending time outside with their family or starting a craft project, but probably not finishing it. K.S. Walker has previously been published at FIA, Uncanny, Fantasy, and elsewhere. They are online at www.kswalker.net or on Twitter and Instagram at kswalkerwrites. Tonia Ransom is the creator and executive producer of NIGHTLIGHT, an award-winning horror podcast featuring creepy tales written by Black writers, and Afflicted, a horror thriller best described as Lovecraft Country meets True Blood. Tonia has been scaring people since the 2nd grade when she wrote her first story based on Michael Myers. She's a World Fantasy Award winner and This Is Horror Award runner-up. She lives in Austin, Texas. You can follow Tonia at Miss Defying on all the socials. Risen is her debut book. The music featured in this episode was made by myself, Allie Nesbitt, and you can find more of my work at youseethehat.bandcamp.com. The theme music for Apex Magazine podcast was written and produced by Alex White. If you enjoyed this podcast, visit apex-magazine.com for more strange and beautiful fiction by K.S. Walker and many others. Our genre magazine also includes interviews with authors and artists, fiction reviews, and nonfiction by some of the leading voices in the business. Subscriptions are $27 annually. That's apex-magazine.com. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.